Hi everybody, Nate here with River Pools of Salt Lake. Just a quick tutorial on how to fill your acid tank and how to go about that. So your acid tank is a standalone feature with your pool system. So when you need to refill your acid, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll refill mine when I have about a quarter of a tank left. And so when it gets down to about this 1 gallon level or a little bit more, the reason I wait for it to get down here is I like to add 1 gallon of acid and 1 gallon of water at a time. So if you try to do that and you're just below half of a 4-gallon tank, there's a chance that you can overfill the tank. So I always like to wait until it's about a quarter left, and then when you fill it back up with a gallon of acid and a gallon of water, you end up with about 3/4 of your tank being full. Real simply, you just pop off your lid. It has arrows on the top that say open and close. And once it's open, you can see that in there's a little grate. We're gonna always put water in first and then your acid. So if we're at 1 gallon, I add another gallon of water using my hose, and then I put a gallon of acid in from there, which is typically going to bring me up to about this 3-gallon mark or a little bit higher, depending on where I go in here. Doesn't need to be perfect. So I'm going to put that back on. Tricky thing with acid, muriatic acid, depending on where you get it, it comes in different strengths. So the stuff you get at Lowe's and Home Depot is going to be a little bit different than the muriatic acid that you get at a pool store. So all of the strength that you buy is a little bit different. A good rule of thumb, the more expensive the acid, it's usually stronger. The less expensive the acid, it's usually already diluted a little bit. So when you dilute 50-50, it doesn't matter if it's a strong acid or one that's already been diluted a little bit, but it will just affect how many times this doses to affect your pH. So say you have a weak acid and you dilute it 50%, this is just gonna dose more often to keep your pH level in check. If you have a really strong acid and you dilute it 50%, it's just going to dose less often to get the same result. Either one, it totally is gonna work, and the system kind of works out the bugs. You as a homeowner, you really don't need to know the difference between what's a strong acid, what's a weak acid. Just always dilute 50% and the system's gonna take care of the rest. Just some quick things about the IntelliChem and the way it doses acid and the way it looks on the IntelliCenter. So if we look at our IntelliCenter panel, I'm gonna tap it to turn it on. We have the chemistry button, and on mine, you can see even before I touch the chemistry button, my pH is at 7.3, my ORP is at 6.685. If I tap that, it's gonna bring everything up, make it bigger. You can see here on your pH, that's how full your tank is. This little blue line right here. And there's no sensor in your tank that tells the system how full your tank is. It is a dumb system. So basically, when it injects acid into your pool, it knows that that line needs to go down by however much acid it injected. So when you refill the acid in your acid tank, you'll need to come into your IntelliChem and adjust the levels. So to adjust your tank levels, you click on the pH button, and then you come in here and you can see here's your tank adjust. If you've got a full tank, go all the way to the top. If you only have half a tank, just come down and do half a tank. Once you adjust that here, then it's going to know by how much it injects, how much you have left in your tank. So that way you can see this on your phone and know without ever looking at the tank if you need to add acid or not. Me, I come out and I look at my equipment usually about once a week, and one of the things I always look at is my acid tank to see how full it is. So right now, you can see that I'm about 3/4 full, and so I'm gonna come back into my IntelliCenter and I'm going to adjust my tank level back to 3/4, so that way it matches. So one of the questions we get is, how often do I need to refill my tank? Really, it's different on every single pool. So my pool is one of the medium-sized pools, and we use our pool quite a bit, but we're not in there every single day. So my acid, I refill it about once or twice a pool season. But if you've got a big pool and you use it super heavy doing swimming lessons and your chlorinator's running consistently, you might need to fill your acid tank up to once a month. So really depending on usage, and every pool is going to be a little bit different, but it is something that you want to keep an eye on and never let your acid tank run dry, because then your pH is going to get out of balance.